Coming up on Cabela's Sporting Dog Adventures, we head back to Montana for the conclusion of our mule deer hunt. It's Kevin Turner's shot at a monster mule deer, along with my son Clayton hunting whitetail in my home state of Wisconsin. Get ready for some high-flying hoof action coming up next on Cabela's Sporting Dog Adventures.
Hey, pretty mama, go and grab the scatter gun. Rommel's looking like he's got one more good run. His hips are a little shaky, but his heart's still true. Oh, how that dog loves hunting with me and you. Sporting Dog Adventures, run, boy, run. Everything you need is here under the sun. Everything you need is here under the sun.
Our crew is back out in Hinsdale, Montana, where we're hunting with Milk River Outfitters. I went on this trip with good friend Kevin Turner, and it was his turn to take a mule deer in the hills of northeastern Montana. Now, it's the first morning of our hunt. I was fortunate enough to head out with a guide. Kevin, you're flying solo. What's going through your head?
Oh, I knew this was going to be a challenging hunt. Unlike any hunt I've done before. Now, I've rifle hunted in Wisconsin for deer, but I've never gone out west and rifle hunted. My experience has been archery, so I was looking forward to the challenge, especially in the open vastness of coulee country. It's early November. We're in northeast Montana. We got dumped off by Jeff and his guide. I'm by myself. So our plan is to head over that way. We'll try to keep the wind in our face. And once we get to a vantage point, we're going to be able to glass down. We came across this fence row, and just to double check, I referenced the GPS and verified that we're legal to be here. This is all BLM land, so we're good to go. But you know, if you're going to come out on a hunt like this, number one, a compass, but make sure you have that GPS so you don't inadvertently get on the property you're not supposed to be on and get yourself in trouble. We stumbled on some doe tracks, so we're definitely in the neighborhood. It's a vast neighborhood. I can't even begin to tell you how big this land is. So we're going to continue to make our way, and we're going to peek over the side and see if we can glass over there. So stay tuned. Here we have a little saddle. It's the lowest point along this ridge, and there's tons of tracks here. So we're going to peek over the edge and see what we see.
So Kevin, that's the end of day one. What's your take on the hunt so far?
This is going to be a lot more challenging than I expected, for sure.
Stay tuned for more of Kevin's hunt when we return on Cabela's Sporting Dog Adventures. Cabela's Sporting Dog Adventures is brought to you by Cabela's, Heavy Shot, High-Vis, Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks and Tourism, Big Dog Mowers, Conquest Scents, Cato's Game Calls, Headwater Seat Covers, Liberty Safe, Mech Shooting Sports, Mobile Strong, Pheasants Forever, Real Tree Dog Food, Vanishing Paradise, Tacticam, and Soggy Acres Retrievers. This training tip is brought to you by these fine sponsors. Shed hunting's become incredibly popular. It's something we do here at Sod Acres Retrievers. This is Ruger. Ruger is an accomplished hunting dog, and his owner wanted him to start shed hunting. That brings us to our point for this week's training tip. When you train your shed dog, you also want to train it as a hunting dog. You need to still start with obedience, work in your e-collar conditioning, your force fetch, and having them in control in the field. First thing you work on with your dog is obedience. It's not safe for your dog to be out in the field and not under control. Next thing you're going to work with would be your force fetch or your trained retrieve. People don't do this as often with their shed dogs, and they really should, because when it comes down to it, your dog is off in the cover. They might find a great shed, but because they're not trained to hold something in their mouth properly, they may not bring it back.
Good dog.
You also want to have your e-collar conditioning done so you can reinforce your commands at distance. If your dog's out of sight, you're blowing your whistle, you're calling here, and you can't hear him, you need to have that ability to touch him with a reminder.
Attaboy, here, good dog.
And the most important thing you want to do is familiarity with what you're looking for in the field. You want the dog to start out retrieving a shed for the first time so they understand what it feels like in their mouth.
Drop, good boy.
You then want to take the dog out, play with them in the yard so that they can find a shed and realize it's not a stick, it's got a certain distinct scent to it.
Hold, sit.
Then you're going to set up a field for your sheds where you know where the sheds are. You can hunt the dogs into the sheds and have them have success so you can reward them with a lot of praise.
Hold, good boy.
And as you progress, you need to start to make sure that your sheds are scent-free. You're going to want to have them washed with a scent-free soap, put them out in the field, let them weather for a few days so that it is indeed just the scent of the shed, and then take your dog out and hunt them. Remember, getting your dog experience training will give them more success in the field. That's this week's training tip. Now back to the hunt.
All right, folks, it's day 2, northeast Montana. It's about 40 degrees, bit of a breeze, but it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. We got a 2-mile hike until we get to the area that we're going to start heading uphill, and we're going to hunt some tops and look down into some couees. So we'll see how it goes.
You know one thing, you started out hunting in the morning, it was cold. After about the first hill in the climb, you warmed right up.
Yeah, that just demonstrates the importance of layering up. Wearing a nice wicking material for your base layer, wearing a light shirt above that, then just moving up to a medium light shirt. So yeah, I was stripping down pretty quick. So we had glassed 5 does, and we tried making our way a little bit closer, side hilling to see if we'd be able to pick up any bucks that were bedded in the area. Unfortunately, one of the does spotted us. I don't think we alarmed her too much. She never got up, so we slowly backed out of there. We're going to let them rest here a bit. If we have time, we'll come back and watch them as they get up and feed.
And now let's head to the puppy kennel, brought to you by Phytovite.
Hello and welcome back to the Whelping Box. We're back with Micah's puppies, and they are about 5 weeks old at this point. As you can see, they're getting very big. They definitely have teeth, I can tell you. And the big news this week is that Micah will be transitioning out. She's coming back up to the house, and these guys will be completely and entirely dependent on solid food. You can see we have a big bowl of it right here. It has their supplement powder on top of it. That's what this is. And that's what's helping make them nice and big and strong. We actually have them at the point where they're big and strong enough. They can come and go inside and out of the door as they wish to get a little exercise and fresh air. And pretty much beyond that, we're just waiting for them to grow and mature so that they can go home with their families.
Kevin's hunt continued on the second day into late afternoon. At that time, they had their first encounter with 2 nice mule deer bucks. This deer that you guys saw next was one that I saw the day before. He was a really good buck. We tried to get a shot on him. We got busted by a doe when we were doing our stalk and did not get a shot. What was going through your mind?
When we first spotted him, we were a fair distance away, so I was concerned about getting there while we still had some light and just getting close enough while they were still on that little hill.
So you closed the distance, you got all set up, and because we're a little different than other shows, we'll show you when we're unsuccessful. What happened?
For me, it was just a lack of experience. You know, my experience has been gun hunting in Wisconsin from a stand. You don't have to worry about that grass that's 10 feet out in front of you and washing out your scope. So that was the problem I had. I got it in my mind that because I hadn't looked through the scope the entire time we had been in Montana, that something must have been wrong with the scope. And I didn't want to take a bad shot on a deer and possibly wound it. Well, just before dark, we spotted 2 bucks on top of a hill. Got to within about 300 yards. And by the time I could get the scope on the shooter, he had moved over to the other side of the hill, and we still haven't seen him. The sun's already gone down, so we're losing light. So it looks like we're going to have to call this one a day. Close, but no cigar.
Coming up on Cabela's Sporting Dog Adventures, we shift gears for a kid's corner that takes us out in my home state of Wisconsin on a whitetail hunt. My son Clayton is on a quest to get his first buck. He tries with his crossbow and his gun, coming up next on Cabela's Sporting Dog Adventures. This segment of Cabela's Sporting Dog Adventures is brought to you by these fine sponsors.
And now it's time for this week's Kids Corner.
On this week's Kids Corner, we head to my home state of Wisconsin for a whitetail hunt. Watching hunters mature in the field is always fun. My son Clayton's headed into his 4th hunting season, and his goal this year is to take his first buck. Now, he shot a lot of other deer, but he wants to take something with horns on its head this year during bow or rifle season. Our hunt takes us to the Nicolay National Forest area. It's an area that I was raised when I was a kid, and ultimately my dad graduated high school from and was born in. There aren't a lot of deer, but it's a fun area because there's so much public land. And it's also something of nostalgia for me to have my kids out there at our family cabin. It's early October. We're here to pick my kids up at the Elkhorn Middle School in Wisconsin. Wisconsin deer hunting and deer camp for me is a huge thing. It is the youth weekend, so we're taking my boys Clayton and Cole up. We've got a bunch of deer on camera. They're excited, and all we have to do now is wait for them to get out of school. Deer camp, buddy, you ready?
Yep.
You get your new braces?
Yep.
It's time to shoot a buck?
Yep.
All right, jump in. Now that the kids are getting older, we always let them pick their stands. Clayton decided he wanted to hunt on a spot that was just off of a food plot right near an adjacent bedding area. We had game cameras out. There was frequent movement in that food plot, and we had several bucks on camera.
Okay, so it's opening day of youth deer hunt. We're out here on a food plot, and I'm hoping to get my first buck.
Part of the allure for my kids in this area during hunting is not just our time in the field, but everything else that we can do on the public land when we're not hunting. We have some areas where we go and do a little climbing, hiking, fishing. We like to go mudding. It's just a lot of fun. Clayton ultimately didn't see a buck to shoot during youth rifle season. A couple weeks later, we headed out with a crossbow, a new season that Wisconsin started this year, and it was a little closer to the rut. So we were hopeful that he was going to get his chance. Ultimately, Clayton wasn't successful getting a buck this year, but the exposure that he got will help him in years to come for hunting. Getting kids in the outdoors is so important. Having them exposed to the great things and the wonder of the outdoors shows them that there's so much more than TVs and technology for them. With 2 boys in the field already hunting and my 3rd son joining me this year, it is a lot of fun for me. I have, in essence, with the TV show, an HD home video, but I get to watch them grow, mature, and become fine young men in the outdoors. And now it's time for this week's Conservation Corner, brought to you by Vanishing Paradise.
The Sportsman's Paradise provides some of the best hunting and fishing in the United States, but it's disappearing at an alarming rate. A football field of land vanishes off coastal Louisiana every hour. In 2010, the Gulf oil spill made the problem worse. For 87 days, oil flowed into the Gulf off Louisiana's coast, eventually washing inshore and damaging already fragile wetlands. We may not know the full extent of the oil's damage on wildlife and habitat for decades to come, but we do know that we must act now to restore this great American landscape and make sure our children and grandchildren are able to enjoy this wonderful resource. To learn more about how we can stop land loss and rebuild this vanishing paradise, visit vanishingparadise.org/sportingdog.
Coming up on Cabela's Sporting Dog Adventures, we head back out to northeastern Montana to see if Kevin gets his redemption on his mule deer hunt. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for a chance to win a puppy just like this little guy from Soggy Acres Retrievers and a bunch of other great prizes from our sponsors. This product review is brought to you by these fine sponsors. Who knew a mower could look so good? When I got to try out my new Big Dog lawnmower and then looked at their logo, it just made sense. This is the Alpha MP model, and it has all the power you need with a 23 horsepower Kawasaki motor, as well as an embroidered seat, LED lights, and a rugged engine guard. These mowers make my life simple as they perform on my lawn, food plots, and assist in property management. One of my favorite parts is that these mowers are factory assembled right in the great state of Kansas. You couple that with a 7-year factory warranty, and we've added a new dog to our pack. For more information on how you can mow with the big dogs, go to bigdogmowerco.com. Day 3 of our hunt put Kevin with guide Ryan from Milk River Outfitters. We are out glassing, we see a good group of deer. You guys ultimately decide to go after them. What's going through your mind?
Am I going to go home empty, or am I going to be able to bag a buck? The pressure was on. Time was winding down, and this particular area seemed to hold more deer, and the hopes were definitely up.
So you get into this hunt, you get in the area, you bump the first group of deer, and then you see a couple of small bucks, and then start glassing.
We glassed over into a small bottom, and that's when I saw a bedded buck.
It's a good looking deer.
It's a nice looking deer.
But it's a big area. Just because you see them doesn't mean you can shoot them. So you guys had to make your way, and it was actually quite the run to try to catch up to this deer and not bump him.
Yes, especially once he got up, because he started to get up and follow a doe. So we had to go down, climb 3 different times in different rises to get to a position where we had a potential shot on him. Shoot. I can shoot right now. We're getting close to the last day here, and the way the conditions have been, it's been tough. But I'm going to be happy with this guy.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much. Well, here we are in northeast Montana with Milk River Outfitters, and I got myself a muley buck. So we're winding down to the last day here. The other day we got in on one and didn't get a shot off on him. And we certainly didn't want to go home empty-handed. So I got my buck. I'm happy. I'd like to thank Milk River Outfitters. I think I'll be back. I love Northeast Montana.
Next week on Cabela's Sporting Dog Adventures, we take you on a waterfowl hunt in Canada. Our hunt's a little bit impromptu as we find a bunch of birds at midday on a small pond.
Sit.
Check out our hunt from the cattails next week on Cabela's Sporting Dog Adventures. Closed captioning provided by Hadel's Game Calls.
Why should you get Puppy from Sog Acres Retrievers? Because they're great hunters in the field.
Soggy Acres puppies have great temperaments and they'll also become your best friend.
And the number one reason, they're cutie pies.
Get a little closer, and don't be shy. Now, doing voiceover, do you learn that cars going by really screw you up?
Cars really do screw this up.
Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I was stripping down pretty quick.
No one wants to see that either. That'd be ugly.
No, no, no.
You suck.
I suck.